December 17th, 2025, Buddha Dhamma, Chapter 8, Samatha and Vipassana. 8.5, Basic Principles of Vipassana, Insight, Concentration. The contemplation of conditioned phenomenon give rise to clear understanding and to see things as they truly are is an essential ingredient to realizing Magga and Phala, path and the fruit. Everyone who practices for the goal of Buddhism, whether they are using samatha or they're using vipassana as a vehicle, and regardless of which of the four modes of practice, samatha preceded by vipassana, etc., they follow must pass the stage of insight, concentration. Someone who uses insight as a vehicle will practice in this way from the beginning. Whereas when someone using samatha as a vehicle will apply this concentration to the final stages. Drawn upon the previous section on samatha concentration, this contemplation is an extension of the earlier cited passage. By seeing with panya, by seeing with wisdom, the asavats, the taints, are completely destroyed, eliminated. In other words, it refers to liberation by wisdom, panya vimukti. There are many standard definitions in the Tipitaka, the Pali Canon, to describe this path of vipassana, insight. Before looking at these definitions, let us examine some passages describing Gautama's Buddhist enlightenments, which are also outlines of insight. This will reveal how a single event can be explained in many different ways. When my knowledge and vision of these Ariya Satcha, the Four Noble Truths as they really are in their three phases, the 12 aspects, was thoroughly purified in this way, then I claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed, perfect enlightenment in this world. The knowledge and the vision arose in me. Unshakable is the liberation of my mind. This is my last birth. Now there will be no more renewed existence. When I directly knew, as they really are, the gratification, sasada, the danger, atitnawa, and the escape, nisarana, in the case of these five skandha, subject to upatana, clinging, then I claim to have awakened to the surpassed perfect enlightenment in this world. Now there is no more renewed existence. When I directly knew, as they really are, the gratification, the danger, and the escape in the case of the six internal sense spaces, ayatana, then I claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world. Now there is no more renewed existence. When I directly knew, as they really are, the origin and the passing away, the gratification, the danger, and the escape in the case of the five spiritual faculties, indriya, faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, then I claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world. Now there's no more renewed existence. When I directly knew, as they really are, the origin and the passing away, the gratification, the danger, and the escape in the case of the six sense faculties, ayatana, the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the citta, the mind, then I claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world. There is no more renewed existence. Monks, concentration by sati, mindfulness of breath, when developed and cultivated, is of great fruit and benefit. I too, monks, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, frequently dwelt in this abiding. While I frequently dwelt in this abiding, Neither my body nor my eyes became fatigued, and my mind, by not clinging, was liberated from the taints. Feeling, Vedana, is this way. Thus, monks, in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, and wisdom, true knowledge and light. This is the origin of Vedana, feeling. This is the way leading to the origination of feeling, Vedana. This is the cessation of feeling, Vedana. This is the way leading to the cessation of feeling, Vedana. This is the gratification in Vedana, feeling. This is the danger in Vedana, feeling. This is the escape from Vedana, feeling. Thus, monks, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light. This is the contemplation by the body in the body, Kaye Kaya Nupassana. Thus, monks, in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light. That contemplation of Kaya in the body is to be developed. That contemplation of body in the body has been developed. This is the contemplation of feeling and feelings. This is the contemplation of mind and mind. This is the contemplation of phenomenon, Dhamma in Dhamma. That contemplation of Dhamma in Dhamma has been developed. Thus, monks, light. This is the basis for spiritual power, iti pala, of enthusiasm. Thus, monks, in regard to the things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light. The basis for spiritual power and enthusiasm is to be developed. The basis for spiritual power of enthusiasm has been developed. This is the basis for spiritual power of energy. This is the basis for spiritual power of dedicated application of mind. This is the basis for spiritual power of investigation. There arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light. Monks, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, it occurred to me, at last this world has fallen into trouble, and that it is born, ages, and dies. It passes away and is reborn. Yet it does not understand the escape from this dukkha, headed by aging and death. When now will an escape discern from this dukkha, headed by aging and death? Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does aging and death come to be? By what is aging and death conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is birth, aging and death comes to be. Aging and death has birth as its condition. When what exists does birth come to be? Does becoming come to be? Does upatana come to be? Does tanha come to be? Does vedana come to be? Does pala come to be? Or does the sixth sense base ayatana come to be? Does the mind, the citta, and the kaya come to be? Then, monks, the question occurred to me, when what exists does vijnana come to be? By what is vijnana condition? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by panya. When there is citta and kaya, vijnana comes to be. Vijnana has citta and kaya as its condition. Then, monks, it occurred to me that this vijnana turns back. It does not go further than citta and kaya. It is to the extent that one may be born and age and die, pass away to be reborn. That is, when there is vijnana with citta and kaya as its condition. Mind and body with vijnana as its condition. With mind and body as condition, the six sense bases ayatana. With ayatana, the six sense bases as condition. Basa, contact. Such is the origin of the whole mass of dukkha. Origination, thus monks, in regard to these things unheard before, that arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light. Then, monks, it occurred to me when what does not exist does not. Aging and death does not come to be. With the cessation of what does not, the cessation of aging and death come about. Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. There is no more birth, aging, and death does not come to be. With the cessation of birth comes the cessation of aging and death. When what does not exist does not birth, does not come to be, does not becoming not come to be, does clinging not come to be, does craving not come to be, does feeling not come to be, does contact not come to be, do the six sense bases not come to be, does the mind and the body not come to be, then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does consciousness not come to be? With the cessation of what does the cessation of consciousness come about? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no mind and body, consciousness does not come to be. With the cessation of mind and body comes the cessation of consciousness, vijnana. Then, monks, it occurred to me, I have discovered this path to the enlightenment. That is, with the cessation of mind and body comes cessation of consciousness. With the cessation of consciousness comes cessation of mind and body. With the cessation of mind and body, cessation of the six sense bases or faculties, ayatana. With the cessation of the six sense bases, cessation of basa, contact, such as the cessation of this whole mass of dukkha, suffering, stress, irritation, agitation. Cessation, thus, monks, in regard to the things unheard. Before there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light, so too, monks, I saw the ancient path, the ancient road traveled by the perfectly enlightened ones of the past. It was just a noble eightfold path. That is, right view, right intention, right concentration. I followed that path, and by doing so, I directly know aging and death, its origins, its cessation, and the way leading to the cessation. I have directly known birth, becoming, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, mind and body, consciousness, volitional formations, their origin, their cessation, and the way leading to their cessation. Having directly known them, I have explained them to the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis, the male lay followers and the female lay followers. This holy life, brahmacharya, monks, has become successful and prosperous, popular, widespread, firmly established, well proclaimed among devatas and humans. There are many standard definitions of the realization of arhatship through insight by the Gautama's Buddhist disciples. Some are familiar to the passage presented above of Gautama's Buddhist enlightenment, while others vary, but essentially they are the same phenomenon. Most of the 5 skandhas, or the 12 sense bases, are divided into 6 parts. The true nature is to examine according to the 3 characteristics: tilakkana, impermanence, anicca, dukkha, anatta, and not self. Many passages focus on the belief of self-emphasis of the characteristic of anatta, not self. Some passages trace relationship between conditions in the context of dependent origination, patisamupata. From the angle of the Dhamma practice, these passages all refer to one or more of the groups in 32 factors of enlightenment, Bodhipakkhya Dhamma. The outlines explaining particular ways of contemplation can be extremely helpful for insight practice if one can capture their meaning and not be confused by the technical language. Below here are some examples of these outlines. The commentaries say that Gautama Buddha gave these teachings on different occasions, depending on the disposition of the listener. So the first one is contemplation of the 5 skandha. Monks, form is impermanent, feeling is impermanent, perception is impermanent, volitional formations are impermanent. Consciousness is impermanent. Seeing, thus, monks, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment towards form, feeling, perception, volitional formations of consciousness. Experiencing this disenchantment, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When he is liberated, there comes the knowledge it is liberated. He understands. Destroyed is birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done had to be done. There is no more the state of being. Monks, form is subject to stress, dukkha, feeling, perception, volitional formation. Consciousness is subject to stress. Seeing, thus, the instructed noble disciple experience disenchantment. Monk's form is not self. Feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness is not self. Seeing, thus, instructed the noble disciple experiences disenchantment. The contemplation in this passage of the 3 characteristics is sometimes changed in similar contemplation. For example, form is mara, feeling or hot embers. Form is subject to arising and cessation, etc. Monks, form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness is impermanent. What is impermanent is subject to dukkha. What is subject to dukkha is anatta, not self. What is anatta, not self, it should be seen, and it really is, with correct panya, wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This is I am not. This is not myself. Seeing, thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantments. Monks, the body is not self. If the body were self, it would not lead to affliction, and it would be possible to have it if of the body. May my body be this way. May it not be that way. But because the body is not self, the body leads to affliction. It is not possible to have it of the body. May my body be this way. May it not be that way. Feeling is not self. Perception is not self. Volitional formations are not self. Consciousness is not self. For if consciousness were self, it would not lead to affliction. It would be possible to have it of consciousness. May my consciousness be this way. May it not be that way. But because consciousness is not self, consciousness leads to affliction, and it is not possible to have it of consciousness. May all my consciousness be this way. May it not be that way. What do you think, monks? Is the body permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, venerable sir. Is what is impermanent dukkha or sukha? Dukkha, venerable sir. Is what is impermanent stressful and of the nature to change, fit to be regarded thus? This is mine. This I am. This is myself. No, it is not, venerable sir. What do you think, monks, as feeling permanent or impermanent? Is perception permanent or impermanent? Are volitional formations permanent or impermanent? Is consciousness permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, venerable sir. Is what impermanent, stressful, and of the nature to fit change, to be regarded thus? This is mine. This is I. This is myself. No, it is not, venerable sir. Therefore, monks, you should see any kind of physical form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness whatsoever, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, coarse or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, as it actually is with proper wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment. Whatever kind of form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, Consciousness there is, whether past, future, present, internal or external, coarse or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A bhikkhu inspects it, ponders it, carefully investigates it, and would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what is insubstantially could be in form, feeling, perception, volitional form, and consciousness. Monks. A monk sees as impermanent form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness, which is actually impermanent. That is his right view, samadhi. Seeing rightly, he experiences dispassion. With the destruction of the delight comes the destruction of lust. With the destruction of lust comes the destruction of delight. With the destruction of delight and lust, the mind is liberated and is said to be well liberated. Monks attend carefully to form, recognize the impermanence of form as it really is. When a monk attends carefully to form and recognizes the impermanence of form as it really is, he experiences dispassion towards form. With the destruction of delight comes the destruction of lust. With the destruction of lust comes the destruction of delight. The mind is liberated. It is said to be well deliberated. Monks attend carefully to feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness in the same way. Contemplations on the sense fear, ayatana. Monks, the eye, the ear, the nose, the body, the mind is impermanent. Seeing thus the instructed noble disciple experience this passion, the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind is subject to dukkha. The ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind is anatta, not self. The forms, the sounds, the odors, the tastes, the tactile objects, mental phenomenon are anatta, impermanent, subject to dukkha, stress, and not self. Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment, release. The contemplation in this passage on the tilakkhana, anattata, dukkhata, anicca is sometimes changed in similar contemplation. For example, the eye is obscured. The ear is burning. The eye is subject to destruction. Monks, the eye, the ear, the nose, the body, the mind is impermanent. What is impermanent is subject to stress. What is subject to stress? It's not self. What is not self is to be seen and as it really is with correct wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment, dispassion, release. Monks, form, sounds, odors, tastes, tangibles, mental phenomena are impermanent. What is impermanent is subject to stress. What is subject to distress is not self. What is not self should be seen as it really is with correct wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment, dispassion, release. What do you think, monks? Is the body permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is that which is impermanent dukkha or sukha? Dukkha, Venerable Sir, is what is impermanent, stressful, and of the nature, change, fit to be regarded thus. This is mine. This is I. This is myself. No, Venerable Sir. What do you think, monks? Is the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, mind consciousness, eye contact, mind contact, whatever feeling arises with the eye contact as condition, whatever feeling arises with the mind contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or indifferent, permanent or impermanent. Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what impermanent, stressful, and of the nature to change, fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this is I, this is myself. No, Venerable Sir. Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment, dispassion, release. Monks, I is impermanent. The causes and condition for the arising of the I is also impermanent. As the I has originated from what is impermanent, how could it be permanent? The I is subject to dukkha. The causes and condition for the arising of the I is also dukkha. As the I has originated from what is stressful, how could it be sukha? The I is not self. The causes and conditions for the arising of I is also not self. As the I has originated from what is not self, how can it be the self, atta? Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment, dispassion, release, the same for the remaining 5 sense bases and the 6 sense objects. Monks, a monk sees impermanent in the eye, the ear, the nose, the mind, sight, sounds, mental phenomenon, which are actually impermanent. That is his right view, samadhi. Seeing rightly, he experiences dispassion. With the destruction of the delight comes the destruction of lust. The mind is liberated and is said to be well liberated. Monks attend carefully to the eye, recognize the impermanent of the eye as it really is. When a monk attends carefully to the eye and recognizes the impermanent of the eye as it really is, he experiences dispassion towards the eye. With the destruction of delight comes the destruction of lust. The mind is liberated and is said to be well liberated. Monks attend carefully to the ear, the nose, the mind, the south signs, and the phenomenon. A certain bhikkhu approaches the Blessed One and said to him, Venerable Sir, is there one thing through the abandoning of which ignorance is abandoned by a bhikkhu and true knowledge arises? Gautama Buddha replied, when a bhikkhu knows and sees the eye, the forms, the ear, the sounds, the mind, mental objects, mind consciousness, and mind contact, whatever feeling arises with mind contact as conditioned, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, as impermanent, ignorance is abandoned by him and true knowledge arises. A certain bhikkhu approached Gautama Buddha, the Blessed One, and Gautama Buddha, the Blessed One, replied, Here, bhikkhu, a bhikkhu has heard, nothing is worth adhering to. The concept, nothing is worth adhering to, is merely an acquired knowledge. He studies the abhinya, directly knows, pays attention to it. Everything, having studied everything, he fully understands. Parina, everything. Having fully understood everything, he sees all signs differently. He sees the eye differently. He sees forms differently. Whatever feeling arises with eye contact as conditions, that too he sees differently. When a bhikkhu knows and sees thus, ignorance is abandoned by him and true knowledge arises. Same for the remaining sense spheres, the 6 kinds of consciousness and the 6 contacts. There are 3 kinds of feelings. General inquiry. Bhikkhus, when what exists by clinging, upatana, to what do pleasure and pain arise internally? When there is form, bhikkhus, by upatana, to form, pleasure and pain arise internally. When there is vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana, by upatana, to vijnana, pleasure and pain arise internally. What do you think, monks? Is form, feeling, etc. permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is that which is impermanent dukkha or sukha? Dukkha, Venerable Sir. But without upatana to what is impermanent, stressful, and subject to change, could pleasure and pain arise internally? No, Venerable Sir. Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences disenchantment. There are many variations to this passage above, indicating self-identity, personality view, sakaya titi. Other wrong views, micha titi, stem from attachment to the misunderstanding of the 5 skandha. Bhikkhu, this Dhamma has been taught by me discriminately. The 4 foundation of mindfulness has been taught by me discriminately. The 4 right efforts, the 4 bases for success, the 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, the Noble Eightfold Path has been taught to me by me discriminately. Bhikkhus, in regard to the Dhamma that has been thus taught by me discriminately, a reflection arose in the mind. A certain bhikkhu, thus, how could one know? How should one see for the immediate destruction of the taints to occur? Here, bhikkhus, the uninstructed worldling, regards feeling, form, perception, etc. as self. That regarding bhikkhus is a formation. That formation, what it is its source, what is its origin, from what is it born and produced. When the uninstructed worldling is contacted by feeling born of ignorance, contact, craving arises. Thence the formation is born. Thus, bhikkhus, that formation is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen. That craving, feeling, contact, that ignorance is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen. When one knows and sees thus, bhikkhus, the immediate destruction of the taints occurs. Bhikkhus, while a bhikkhu dwells mindful and clearly comprehending, diligent, ardent, and resolute, if there arises in him pleasant feeling, he understands thus, there has arisen in me pleasant feelings. Now that is dependent, not independent. Dependent on what? Dependent on this very body. But the body is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen. So when the pleasant feeling has arisen in dependence on the body as its impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, how can it be permanent? He dwells contemplating impermanence in the body and pleasant feeling. He dwells contemplating vanishing, contemplation fading away, contemplation cessation, contemplating relinquishment as he dwells thus, the underlying tendency to lust in regard to the body and in regard to pleasant feelings is abandoned by him. While a bhikkhu dwells mindful, if there arises in him a painful feeling, he understands. The underlying tendency is aversion into regard to the body in regard to painful feeling is abandoned by him. While a bhikkhu dwells mindful, if there arises in him indifference, he understands. The underlying tendency to ignore in regard to the body, in regard to neither painful or pleasant feeling, indifference is abandoned by him. Now, all-encompassing contemplations. The Venerable Mahakotthita approached Venerable Sariputra and said to him, "Friend Sariputra, what are the things that a virtuous bhikkhu should carefully attend to?" Friend Kotthita, a virtuous bhikkhu should carefully attend to the 5 skandha subject to clinging as impermanent. As subject to stress, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as misery, as affliction, as alien and disintegrating, as empty, as not self. When a friend and a virtuous bhikkhu carefully attends to the 5 skandhas subject to clinging, it is possible that he may realize the fruit of stream entry. But friend Sariputra, what are the things that a bhikkhu who is a stream enterer, a sotapanna, should carefully attend to? Friend Kotthita, a bhikkhu who is a stream enterer should carefully attend to the 5 skandhas subject to clinging as impermanent, as not self. When friend, a bhikkhu who is a stream enterer carefully attends to thus these 5 skandhas subject to clinging, it's possible that he may realize the fruits of a once returner. Sakana. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that a bhikkhu who is a once returner should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a bhikkhu who is a once returner should carefully attend to the 5 skandhas subject to clinging as impermanent, as not self. When friend a bhikkhu who is a once returner carefully attends to these 5 skandhas subject to clinging, it is possible that he may realize the fruit of non-returner, ananagami. But friend Sariputra, what are the things that a bhikkhu who is a non-returner should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a bhikkhu who is a non-returner should carefully attend to the 5 skandha subject to clinging as impermanent, as not self. When friend a bhikkhu who is a non-returner carefully attends to the 5 skandhas subject to upatana, clinging, it is possible that he may realize the fruit of arihatship, arahanta. But friend Shariputra, what are the things that a bhikkhu who is an arihat should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a bhikkhu who is an arihat should carefully attend to these 5 skandha subject to upatana as anicca, anatta, and dukkha. For the arihat friend, there is nothing further that has to be done. No repetition of what has to be already done. However, when these things are developed and cultivated, they lead to pleasant dwelling in this very life, into the mindfulness and clear comprehension.